Shabbat Shalom. I hope that this pre-Shabbat video finds you and your family healthy and safe and enjoying the beautiful New City weather here. There are two mitzvot in this week's Parsha, the Parsha of Tavo, which require a declaration to be recited by those observing the commandments. First is the mitzvah of Bikurim, and the second is called Ma'aser. Both of these mitzvot were to be observed when Bnei Yisrael came into the land that God had promised them. The Torah describes the beautiful Bikurim ceremony in great detail. The first fruits of the land are brought to the Kohen. The description is lengthy and dictates a formula to be recited by the person bringing the offering. My father was a wandering Aramean, it begins, as it reviews the historical record that brought the Israelites to the land flowing with milk and honey. The second mitzvah, Ma'aser, is the giving of tithes to the Levite, to the widow, and to the orphan. Another tithe was brought to Jerusalem to be eaten together with the family. Here, too, the gift is given with an accompanying formula recited by the person giving the Ma'aser. And so the people lived on the land, acknowledging God's good grace. The Talmud explains that while, in fact, there are many similarities between these two declarations, there is one major difference. Mikra Bikurim, the formula recited over the first fruits, is recited only in the original Hebrew and out loud for everyone to hear, while the Vidui Maaser, the confession, as it says, the confession of the tithes, is recited in any language and, most significantly, quietly and in an undertone. This distinction teaches us an important lesson about one of the most difficult character traits to cultivate. In today's age of Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and all the other social media outlets, the name of the game is doing what you can do to make people notice you. Influencers, models, and want-to-be celebrities of all kinds have made a virtue of self-promotion. Perhaps never before has the midah, or the quality of humility, been so locked out of the public discourse as in our time. But there's a lot of pretending. Declarations of false humility in the social media world are rampant. Like someone who tweets out, "So humbled to have received such and such organization's achievement award," or "totally unworthy of being chosen as the honoree for this year's fill-in-the-blank event." Erica Ord of Uncaged Bird writes a list of 18 signs of false humility. Among them, number 3, the person will listen to others only so they can speak to their own lives. Number 11, she says, changing their tone and adopting a humble, submissive tone while saying proud things. Number 14, she says, is people who fish for a compliment. And number 18, people who spend a lot of time telling you how humble they are. C.S. Lewis once said, humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. So how do we cultivate a genuine sense of humility in a world so focused on the self? The answer, of course, is the reason for why the Mikra Bikurim is said out loud, while the Vidui Maaser is recited in an undertone. The bringing of the first fruits is a celebration of God's gifts to the world. God makes the seedling develop into a ripe and beautiful tribute to creation. We proclaim God's greatness out loud for everyone to hear in the language of the Torah itself as the Bikurim, those first fruits, are brought to the Kohen. Yet the Ma'aser, that which represents our ability to give of ourselves, of our possessions, a tenth of our hard work that goes to those who cannot acquire for themselves, those who are less fortunate, like the widow and the orphan. The Ma'aser, something for which we can take credit. Here, we intentionally make the declaration quietly. We are motivated not only by a sense of duty, but also by a sense of rachamim, compassion. And in order to inculcate a truly humble approach to the giving of these gifts, we do so without fanfare, without loud declarations and assertions. We do not tweet it out or post it on Facebook. We give it over quietly, with dignity, for ourselves as much as for the recipients. Shabbat Shalom.